Welcome to Turn Positivity into Possibility, episode 270, Discovering Your True Identity. Hey, if you're joining me live, it is Saturday morning. There's still some sleep in my eyes. I'm actually on my second cup of coffee, which doesn't happen very often. After coming back from Europe in August, we definitely flipped a switch and turned to quality over quantity. But today, it just seems appropriate to record the first episode of 2024, episode 270. And it seems appropriate to have some good coffee, probably the best purchase we made in 2023 was an espresso machine. Have you ever tried it? If you're a coffee fan, it's delectable. And Tanya will tell you, my wife will tell you, that the frother is the key to success. It's not my jam, it's definitely her jam. All right, my friends, little gravelly voice. I've got some water, I've got some thoughts, I've got some things I want to talk about and share because I think it's important. Understand the first of the year is just a date. A Monday is just a Monday. So don't ever wait for the first of the month, the first of the year, or a Monday to start creating the life you love. When I went back just a few weeks back and I was like, there was some good content and I've been getting some feedback on this podcast, Turn Positivity into Possibility. And there were 267 episodes, and I had done it as a daily podcast. But then I just kind of, I don't know, I lost focus. I got burnout, which happens to people in health, wealth, mindset, relationships, all the things, right? And I was going to restart it January 1st, 2024. And then I decided, why wait? I coach people to start today. When is the best day to plant a tree 10 years ago? When's the second best day? Today. Today. All right. We're going to come back to that. So I started, and I'm recording the third podcast in 2023. This particular one will go live in 2024. It doesn't matter when you listen. The content is valuable. Start today. Discover your identity. But if you're joining me live, do me a favor. Let me know you are there. If you can sit, if you can listen, if you can mop the floor, if you can tell, you know, any of your devices to listen, please listen. Let's have a conversation because today we're going to discuss discovering your true identity. Now, before we do that, if you haven't listened to episode 268 and episode 269, I highly recommend it. And why? Because these really go in succession. So in episode 268, we talked about creating your one word vision. One word that over the next 366 days, because it's a leap year in 2024, that you can hang your hat on, that you can post on your computer screen, in your bathroom, on your front door, on your refrigerator, to remind you of the person you are working to become. For me, mine is enthusiasm, to be excited to be here, to be excited to wake up every day. I'm blessed. That's always been me. If you've heard me say before in my senior class, back when they still had black and white televisions, back when we had our first VCR and still never learned how to program it before it went into the trash heap. Mine's enthusiasm to have the opportunity to wake up every day with joy. So that what I was saying about high school was I was voted most spirited. But over the years, I felt like I was kind of put into a box and I had to follow suit with what other people thought. And that is not me. It's not who I want for you. It's not what I think we should do because the world is unhappy. It's miserable. It's pissed off. And we're not going to live that way because we are Gen X badasses. So if you haven't listened to episode 268 or you haven't identified your one word vision, let's do it. I challenge you to do it. It's only a few days away from the next year, from the clock turning. And Trailblazer Jenny shared with me this morning a picture from several years ago. We were working together, and I said, you know, time is going to pass. It's what you do at that time that's important. So, what will you do with your time? Let's take a sip of this delicious Stormio Boost from Nespresso. By the way, I don't get paid for that. So that was 268. Episode 269 talks about thinking in years, planning in months and living in days, creating your own year at a glance, but working backwards like a Quentin Tarantino film, right? Which is kind of where I think we are today, right? We've looked at the past and we're trying to come to the future. We're trying to build it, to go so far out into the future, like Alex Sharfin says, and put on those sunglasses, those cheap sunglasses like Corey Hart, put them on, wear them, and because your future is so bright, you've got to wear your sunglasses at night. So the challenge is between Christmas and New Year's of 2024, what will you be celebrating? What can we celebrate together in who you've become? Now, remember, it is really the journey that is the most important part because the person that embarks on creating the life they love is not the same person that started that journey. The person that created their one word vision, the person that saw their year in advance, the person that took action, the person that decided to envelop themselves in their faith, their fitness, create fellowship, and live life in fun because we only get one chance, one opportunity, like Eminem says. So, who are you? Where are you? And where are you going to go? All right, my friends, let's start talking about what our identity is. What does it mean? So, I'm going to go back to 2021, 2021, when I had an idea and I put it out into the world and I said, hey, this is my coaching idea. This is what I'd like to do. This is what I see. And does this feel like you? And it was, you're Gen X and maybe the kids are grown and maybe, you're not taking care of them anymore. Or maybe you're taking care of your elderly parents, or maybe you've lost your parents, or maybe you've lost friends, or maybe you realize and you turn around and you don't really have a lot of deep rooted relationships. What does that look like? And how do you discover who you are and what you're meant to be? So I created a 6-week program. We met every week as a group. We met every week as individuals. We started to process it. I'm going to explain how that all works today. I'm going to challenge you to listen. I'm going to challenge you to get pen and paper or Remarkable or whatever it is and how you record or your voice memo, whatever it is to take action. You can listen to all the podcasts, read all the books, but if you don't take action, what are you doing? Even imperfect inaction is action. We must take action. I want to remind you too, or let you know it's not linear. I wish that every single Monday you'd come up with some ingenious thing or transition. It's thinking in years, planning in months, and living in days. Taking those days one at a time, looking at it every 7 days. How well did I do? Did I win? Whatever you determine winning is, whatever your markers are, did I win 4 out of 7 days? Then you won. At the end of a month, did you win 3 weeks out of 4? Then you won. Did you win 8 out of 12 months? Then you freaking crushed the year. Crushed the year. So let's go back to 2021. Let's talk about the community that didn't have an identity. We didn't have one at all. So as we got closer to the finish of the 6 weeks, on one of the calls, I was like, we need an identity. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you have an identity. If you're an LA Lakers fan, you have an identity. Manchester United, you have an identity. If you went to a specific high school and you still live in that city, you have an identity. At least somebody knows where you grew up in town. To this day, over 30 years later, I still ask people who graduated high school in San Antonio, and there are many high schools that were built since I graduated high school. Where'd you go to high school? Because it just lets me know what side of town they grew up on. That's it. It just gives me a general idea of some of the cultural. That's it. So as we brainstormed, and we just said, just throw out ideas, and I'm typing. Well, somebody said trailblazer. And everybody kind of paused and kind of like a puppy dog, they turned their head and they're like, I kind of like that word. But what does it mean? So we looked it up. A trailblazer is a pioneer, someone who's willing to take risks and go on a path that is not already there. They blaze a trail and leave a path for others. And everybody's eyes kind of perked up. And I said, let me read it again. And I'm going to read it again. Is this you? Because if this is you, then I invite you to connect with me to learn how to become a trailblazer. This is what real Gen X badasses are, do, think, and feel. A trailblazer is a pioneer, someone who's willing to take risks and go on a path that isn't already there. They blaze a trail and leave a path for others. Score, touchdown, unanimous decision. That's who we are. We are trailblazers. Born between 1965 and 1980, we've lived longer than we're going to continue to live. We know that we want to make sure that we have the best last third or quarter of our lives. We want to live with significance. We want to leave a legacy. We want to be as healthy as possible until we can't be anymore. We have no desire to sit on the couch and bitch about the kids today and bitch about the politics of today because the world's always been a dark, mean place, but we're going to shine our light and turn positivity into possibility the best we can. You're going to understand more about that in a moment. It's a matter of choice. Marketers are not marketing to us anymore unless it depends or some sort of lifestyle medication because we're not the consumers we used to be. We're just not. We're just not. We're just not. So again, are you willing or ready to blaze a trail, no matter how scary it is? And you don't even have to see the trail. You just have to take your machete and cut down all the bushes or whatever it is, right? You've got to light the fire and boom and show up. Kick the door down like it's a 19th century Western saloon. Boom, I am here and announce your presence. But leave a path for others and invite them to join you. So that's a trailblazer. So then, right? Now we have a name. We have a title. We have something we can put on a shirt, a hat, a sticker, whatever. We have something we can tell people. But understand, every one of those teams that I mentioned, they also have a logo that represents their city, their name, their pride. What is it? What is it? So I had shared a story about the bison. Understand, there are actually no buffalo in the United States of America. They are bison. It is a resilient, strong, beautiful creature. And looking back, I find it interesting when we talk about the bison. I lived in Rapid City, South Dakota as a kid. My dad was stationed at Ellsworth Air Force Base. And the bison was on the endangered species list at the time, but mom said I had them on my wall. Dad took pictures for me when you had to go to Photomat or whatever it was. In Texas, it was Fox Photo. You get your pictures taken because they had them at the local park, I guess, or somewhere where I don't remember, to be honest with you. My dad's been gone about 10 years, and as we clean out still some of his things, my dad loved to create art, and he did a lot of woodwork. I wish I had it. I should get up and go get it. I'm not going to go get it. But there's literally a statue that sits in our living room now of an unfinished carved bison. So my dad had something about them too that I'll never really understand. But understand, let me share this story. We teach people in the Trailblazer community, we encourage people to walk into the storm just like the bison. Because the bison wait for the storm to cross right across the crest of the peak of the mountaintop. And as soon as the storm rolls over the ridge, the bison turns and charges directly into the storm. Instead of running east away from the storm, they run directly into the storm. By running into the storm, they run straight through it because that's what trailblazers do. We attack the problem, the issue ahead, therefore minimizing pain and suffering. Now, is it easy? Hell no. Is it scary? Absolutely. Are we willing to do it? You bet. Are we willing to encourage each other? You bet. Are we willing to give you an in-person high five, hug, or support? You bet. But we are trailblazers. We know our identity, right? We are going to blaze a trail and leave a path for others. We are going to run straight into the storm. One day, one week, one month, 1 year. I should probably say 1 quarter at a time. At a time. I'm so tired of my sniffles in the fall or the winter, I guess. But think about that. I don't know about you, but that gets me excited every single day as we jumping out of bed like it's Christmas morning, having me reach out, connect every single day, every day, every day. Are you a trailblazer? Do you want to be? Can you be? Can you identify yourself as that? That's the question. I've got one more thing that we did and have done and continue to do as trailblazers that I'm going to try to teach you how to create your identity at the start of the year, to post it somewhere, to see it every day, to make sure that you live it every day. Because that's the key. Is what happens is, right, it's New Year's, we get all excited by January 17th. That's when statistics say that your New Year's resolutions are done. And life is a four-letter word. We're like water. And we look for the path of least resistance. We go right back to the same crap we've been doing over and over and over. And we feel like failures. We feel like disappointments because we haven't succeeded, because we haven't moved on. But those people we deem as successful, they wake up every day, they do the boring things, and they do it and do it and do it and do it. The sculptor did not take one chisel on that rock and the statue of David was done. It was thousands and thousands and thousands of, of hammer hits. And then one day, beauty was made. Beauty was made. So we decided one of the things we get to do is create a mission, a vision, and a purpose in whatever order you want, right? But we wrote and created a manifesto. I just think it's super important to lay the groundwork, because depending on where you come into this journey, where you've been, where I was blessed to meet you or talk to you or have a conversation, you've talked to another trailblazer, or you're at the coffee pot at work, or you're at the hardware store having a glass of wine, whatever it is, and you're sharing thoughts. We wanted to have a mindset of that visionary that's going to blaze the trail, that mindset of the bison that's going to attack the storm, that vision, that manifesto, something we believe in. So I'm going to read it today. I'll probably reread it just to make sure you heard it. The reason we re-listen to a podcast, we reread a book, we rewatch a movie, because we are not the same person the second, third, and fourth time that we listened, we watched the movie, or the listen to the podcast, or read the book. Because we learn and we grow. The Trailblazer Manifesto. Trailblazers do not accept the world as it is today. They never moan or whine about the way things are. They transform it and lead the change. On January 1st, 2022, the Trailblazer state was declared. Trailblazers dream big, dream often, and dream out loud. They turn words into action. Trailblazers are lifetime learners. They crave improvement and chase results. A trailblazer will turn their world upside down to help someone else and always give more value than they expect to receive. Trailblazers know that huge impact will lead to aging with awesomeness and creating the life they love. Trailblazers will never tell you to get a real job. They encourage dreams and do what it takes to make them happen. Trailblazers show their true selves and show vulnerability. They refuse to share a false, filtered life. Trailblazers are lifetime learners. Oh, I read that already. Trailblazer will turn their world upside down to help someone else and always give more value than they expect. I may have read that too. Trailblazers find their passion, follow their passion, impact lives, and impact the world. Trailblazers are motivated, knowing every day is an opportunity to be a trailblazer. Pioneers who are willing to take risk and go in a path that isn't already there. They inspire people with purpose, passion, and confidence that impacts the world. They blaze a trail and leave a path for others. Trailblazers are born to run. I'm a trailblazer. You're a trailblazer. We are trailblazers. And I don't know about you, but I can get behind that every single day. I'm not going to read it again, but I'll read a few pieces of it again that I think are important. The ones that I remember that I don't have it memorized, right? But I do have it printed out. Trailblazers don't accept the world as it is today. They never moan or whine about the way things are. They transform it, lead the change. If you go to your boss and you just bitch for bitch sake without a solution, then you're just complaining. Good morning, Robert. Bob is an A1 trailblazer, has embraced the trailblazer mentality, embracing the storm, running into the storm, blazing a trail for others every single day, and leading by example every single day. Trailblazers give more value than they expect. We're going to show up, we're going to hold out our hand, we're going to say, join us and follow along. We encourage dreams every single day. Now, we'll still call your BSBS. If you have a dream, we are never going to say how, we're going to say wow, with enthusiasm, with passion and encouragement, because that dream may be sitting on a glass pedestal and be very precarious. We don't want it to break. We want it to grow. We want it to grow. We will never, and this was brought to my attention at the Oklahoma City retreat, because I said something about, we still have to eat, right? And we don't want to eat with guilt. We want to eat great food. We want to break bread with friends and trailblazers and family and maybe strangers. But I said a lot of times I don't go live with when I'm grilling or cooking or creating or whatever. I said, because shit, the cat might jump on the counter. There's mail on the counter. There's Amazon boxes on the counter. Who knows? There's just shit on the counter. And one of the trailblazers said, yeah, but if we don't live a false filtered life, that's your life. And I was like, touche. So it's coming, it's happening. And it's just going to be in my kitchen, right? And the way things are, if the Amazon guy rings the doorbell, FedEx guy rings the doorbell, the girl selling Girl Scout cookies, by the way, which is coming, right? It's just we don't live a false filter life. Good morning, Isabella. Good morning. Trailblazers follow their passion, find their passion, impact lives, and impact the world. We used to say as coaches, high school coaches, what does it look like from the street? Because in Texas, the cheapest entertainment is to sit on your tailgate with your big Route 44 Sonic drink at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and watch the football practice. So if all the coaches are hunched together and the players are running around, it doesn't look very good. Go coach the kids. That's why they're there. Go coach the kids. So we're going to impact the world. We're going to find our passion. We're going to know that people are watching. We're not going to change who we are or what we believe, but we know that our pictures, our videos, our comments, our conversations, people are looking, going, well, hell, I'd like to do that. I'd like to find my passion. I'd like to follow my passion. I'd like to impact the world. I'd like to find my significance. How do I do it? And it can seem way overwhelming, but we take one step at a time, right? We take one step at a time. We're going to blaze a trail for others, but you must find your identity. This is the very first thing. Now that the Trailblazer community had been born 2 years ago, now that we had an identity calling ourselves a Trailblazer, now that we had the bison as our logo, right, that represents running into the storm, being powerful, being impactful, standing in Yellowstone with this. And I sent this to many Trailblazers recently, the video of a bison hunkered down in this big winter storm, but literally staring into the snow and bearing with it, knowing that pain and suffering will not last forever. It won't. And I think when you know that, when life's tough, you just keep going and you attack it. All emotions are good, they just don't all feel good. And Tanya reminds me of that all the time. All the time. I'm taking another quick sip. Isabel, I hope you had an amazing cappuccino, espresso this morning. It really is kind of the best part of waking up, even though it's a different brand. How can you find your identity? The first thing I want to challenge you to do is discover your values. What's important to you? What's important to you? So values are what's important, what's your worth, what's a person. I'm going to just read the definition, right? A person's principles or standards of behavior. Positivity is absolutely one of mine. Integrity is one of mine, right? So that honesty is important. What is important to you? Community is important to me. Connection is important to me. It's a reason that we create a virtual world with many opportunities now to go from trailblazers to travel blazers, where we meet on at some global location and give a real high five, a real hug, have real conversations, and go exploring. We know when we arrive at any of our locations, so we've done retreats in San Antonio, Italy, Oklahoma City, we're going to Mexico City, we're going to Boise, Idaho, we're going back to Italy, we're going to Park City, Utah, just to name a few. Everybody's going to show up knowing where they are. We're going to talk about that. We're going to share where you've been. And then we're going to create and see where you're going to go. But what are your values? What's important to you? And what's interesting, or I think is interesting, is that it takes time. If you really put the effort to be able to chisel these into stone, or put a brick in your house, it takes time. And so you just come up with this huge list. You Google a list of values. You're like, oh, I believe in that. I believe in that. I believe in that. I believe in that. And then you start crossing them out. It doesn't mean that those other values aren't important. They're just not as important. So I challenge you to pick 10 of them. You want to do more, do more. But find 10 things that are important to you and keep them right next to you at your heart every single day and try to step into them. Try to step into your values. And remember, I want to encourage you that these are yours. They're not your mom's, they're not your dad's, they're not your brother. Living and growing up in San Antonio, I've lived all over the country, right? I like to say, if they're not your tia, your aunt, they're not your tia, they're not your uncle. Authenticity, achievement, right? Citizenship, faithfulness, fairness, fun, knowledge, leadership, optimism, recognition, resilience, stability, wealth, wisdom, just to name a few, but they're yours, not mine. Everything we do as you create your identity is about you, not to be selfish, but so you step into who you are. Many of us, right, went to school, got married, bought a house, had children, raised the children, did exactly what we were taught to do. And now we're standing there on the precipice of like, well, what's next? Right? We're looking for significance next. What's the next part of our life? Why are we getting out of bed? What is that faithful part in the F4 philosophy, which is faith, fitness, fellowship, and fun? But you must know your values first. Know your values. What brings you joy? Joy. What brings you joy? What puts a smile on your face every single day? What could you do every day or most days that you're going to wake up with a smile on your face, with anticipation? I always like to use the analogy, the example of a child jumping out of bed on Christmas morning. I don't know about you, but we used to go wake my mom and dad up long before the sun came up. Santa Claus came, Santa Claus came. Can we get up? Sometimes they would say yes, and they might have just gone to bed after dad probably fought with the directions, of putting some Barbie doll house or something together, right? Great pleasure and joy. What brings you that? Now, for many of you, you're like, oh, how I can tell you 10 things that bring me joy. At the same time, many, many, many people that have sat on the other side of this screen, men and women, have had crocodile tears run down their face because they're not sure anymore. Because they've been Billy's mommy. They have been the head of the PTA. They've been Mrs. Jones. And they've done all the things, but they forgot who they were in the process. Not that they begrudge raising the babies. I don't think there's anything more powerful in the world that you can do than raise a child. But in there, they forgot who they were. They forgot that little princess or that little prince that was on the playground slaying dragons, right? They forgot about their dreams and dreams don't have an expiration date. And we want to rekindle that as trailblazers. We want to let you know that age is just a number. And with your health, anything is possible. So, what brings you joy? Is it hiking? Is it reading? Is it connecting with family? Is it travel? What is it? Is it the simple task of waking up in the morning before anybody else and pouring a most delicious cup of coffee? I will tell you what, that brings me ultimate joy in the morning. Pardon me. I sit every morning, almost every, I don't, couldn't tell you the last day I didn't start with a cup of coffee. Like I said at the very, very beginning of today's podcast, it's about quality versus quantity, even though I spoiled myself today and I'm on my second cup. We have our what brings me joy is my Christmas tree. Our Christmas tree is in our living room 24/7, 365. We used to keep it up to my birthday, which is January 29th. And then one year I just told Tanya, I said, babe, I'm up before you almost every day. I sit on the love seat right by the glow and glimmer of the light. I silently talk to my father. I ask him for guidance every day. I tell him I'm going to try to go out and make him proud every day. I'm going to lead by example every day. I'm going to lead with imperfection every day and do what he taught me to do and try to be the man he tried to raise me to be. And I love doing it by the Christmas tree. And we decided to keep the tree up. Years ago, when my grandkids moved back to Texas from Virginia, they come in on a July day and they call me Pop Up. Like, Pop Up, why do you have your Christmas tree up? It's July. I'm like, because Jesus lives in my heart all the time. They've never asked me again. They've never asked me again. But what brings you joy? Even having those little tiny humans in my house brings me joy to watch them grow, to share what I think they need to know, understand, live, and learn to grow up to be great men and great women. That brings me joy. Our next thing we're going to try to encourage you to do is create your non-negotiables. And we limit it to three things. It can be more, but we get overwhelmed when our plate is too full. It's like going to a restaurant that's got pages and pages. I'm like, damn, I would rather have you make fajitas and enchiladas, and that's it, and make them the best ever. Anybody else like fajitas and enchiladas? I'm a San Antonio kid, so sometimes I just want 3 cheese enchiladas, rice and beans, a margarita, and some chips. Now, Tanya and I always share ours. I need to find one of the first articles I ever published. It was half the calories, twice the fun, and the whole thing was to go enjoy great food, but split the dish, right? Your non-negotiables. I'm going to share mine. If you go back, I'm sure I've shared them before. They haven't changed. You know why? Because they're non-negotiables. My health is number one. I've been healthier. I've been more fit. I've been more lean, whatever the case may be. As a late 50-year-old man, I take no medication. I take great pride in that. How I move my body every day. For the most part, I eat food as least processed as possible. Limit my alcohol consumption. Not a smoker, but I get up every day with a positive attitude. I try to move my body at least 8,000 steps a day. I do resistance training because we must maintain our muscle mass. And I think it's ultimately really about attitude. It's faith, it's fitness, it's fellowship, and damn it, it's a whole hell of a lot of fun. Now, we don't get to do the fun maybe every single moment, but we live toward it. We live toward those carrots of that travel for me and connecting with travel blazers. That fires me up. This is just me. I will be leaner, and we'll talk more about that by this time next year because I know that I can hike better, I can run better, I can walk better, I can live better if I'm not carrying quite as much weight, right? And I'll just physically feel even better. So my health, without apology. Number 2 is my marriage. So this is not my first marriage. It's not Tanya's first marriage, but damn it, I did not get married. We did not get married again to get married again. Is our marriage perfect? No. Is there a perfect person? No. Is there a perfect marriage? No. But we work on it every day. Every day before we leave, it's a hug, it's a kiss. I love you. I'll see you tonight. Be safe, be proud. I'll connect during the day. We still have to talk about parents. We still have to talk about kids. We have a blended family. So there's all kind of things we have to negotiate. Creating and running a business. Tanya's worked at the hospital that she works at going on 35 years. There's lots of demands on that. It's life because it's a four-letter word, but it's very conscious and present in our life that our marriage is vital and is important. From holding hands to hugs to laying in bed tonight, going to bed together most nights, to being home most nights together when possible. So those are just some of the things that are important to us. Having shared values and individual values, shared joy, those all are important. And for me, again, these are yours. I'm sharing mine just to give you an example. My mission. Ultimately, if we get down to trailblazers, travel blazers, creating a business. Now, look, I'm blessed. I never say I have to go to work. I am blessed to do this. I understand that with influence comes responsibility. But if you just really, really, really narrow it down, the reason I do what I do, because I believe everybody, not somebody, everybody. Now, there's the gurus say we should narrow it down. And yes, we talk to Gen Xers, and I think maybe we chose that because that's who we are. But everybody has the right. I want everybody to live independent and healthy for a lifetime. That's what I want. If that's not what you want, then maybe we're not meant to work together. That's it. But I really don't want to spend any time in a nursing home. I don't want to spend any time just laying in the hospital bed. I want to live independently and healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, cognitively for a lifetime. If that speaks to you, let's talk. I never know how long the podcast is going to go, but I've decided because we're not going to be the norm, we're going to express who we are and we're going to be unapologetic, and you should show up 100 proof that there's a message that needs to be heard and somebody's listening. And if I don't speak, then I'm leaving somebody's future locked inside my mouth. And that would be the worst thing that I could ever, ever do. So we've talked now over weeks, several weeks. And look, I could tell you it's 21 days. It's not linear. Some people have taken months. Some people have taken very little time because they already know. Now they're just looking for accountability. They're looking for connection. They're looking for the fellowship and ensuring that they live a life of fun, values, joy, non-negotiables, and then creating a vision, a 3-year vision. As a matter of fact, Tanya and I created our vivid vision, our first vivid vision in 2021 in May. That's right around the corner if you're listening on January 1st, 2024, when the podcast goes live. So we have trailblazers that have said they want to write a book, that they want to finish their PhD, that they want to become world photographers, global photographers. We've had trailblazers say that they want to sell their home and live in 2 parts of the United States and then go see their children and travel. We've had trailblazers that have decided they want to buy land in West Texas and get away from the world and go climb the Davis Mountains every single day. We have trailblazers that want to take the second half of their life or third of their life and give all of the money that they make in their second careers and give it away. Now, that's their vision. What's your vision? What is your vision? Let's talk about more F's and getting F'd up, right? So we talked about the F for philosophy, right? Which is faith, fitness, fellowship, and fun. The foundation, another F, is going to be your family, your friends, your fitness, your finances, and your faith. What does that look like? What does that look like? Now, sometimes people say, well, my family life or my family dynamic doesn't suck. I never said it sucked. The enemy of great is good. Can you make it better? What do you want it to look like? I believe with friendship, if we don't purposely seek out friendship, that fellowship, we're not gonna have them. And I know that as an entrepreneur for sure. So Tanya and I create events. We create personal events. We create trailblazer events to build those deep-rooted friendships that are a foot wide and a mile deep. We must have our physical mental, emotional, and spiritual health, at least working and doing it with intention. I say every day, most days. Again, winning 4 days out of 7, 3 weeks out of 4, and 8 months out of 12. You don't ever have to divulge your 401k, your investments, or your lack thereof. But what do you want your money to do for you? Money is not evil. It can allow you to do things, give things, whatever it is that you want to do. But if we don't tell our money where to go, it's going to find where to go. And lastly, and probably most importantly, your faith, which is ultimately your why. Why do you get out of bed? What legacy do you want to leave? Who are you? Who were you? And who will you be? But you must see it. And I say that like it's easy. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes intentionality. It takes intentionality. All this to say, on this absolutely beautiful morning, but I ask you to wake up and be amazing. That every day in the Age with Awesome community, we share a 6 a.m. Central Standard Time high five. Why? Because it sets our day with a smile and a sense of positivity and hope. Because you get to choose if you identify as a positive person, as a negative person, as a hopeful person, as a spiritual person. When you seek beauty, you will find it. If you seek negativity, you will find it. So you choose to turn positivity into possibility. So today I want to challenge you to go for a walk, to get in a conversation with somebody or me about who you are, to identify your true identity, step into it, embrace the joy, the struggles, and everything that happens with it. Be a trailblazer, light the world on fire. Join us, join our community, find a community. I believe, pardon me, in such bandwidth that if for some reason we're not your jam, there's somebody out there that can help you. Because at the end of the day, I'm a trailblazer. You're a trailblazer. We are trailblazers. And each and every one of us is a Gen X badass. Thank you for your time. Time is the most valuable thing you'll ever have because you'll never get it back. Today, be sure to tell those you love them, and never assume they know. Until next time, go be a badass, a Gen X badass. Go be amazing. Remember, ultimately, to be the Gen X badass you were born to be.